Quiz Cube, play that beat again.
What's up, everybody? It is I, Sigma, and I am alone. I am joined by no one in particular. This is not an episode of the BBET GamesCast. Instead, it's more of an announcement. Just want to let you guys know that unfortunately, the BBET GamesCast is not going to be a thing anymore. We have decided to go a different route with the podcast, with the BBET as a whole, and you will hear more about that probably before this actually drops, to be 100% honest. But, you know, who knows? Maybe I'll actually throw this out on our podcast services a little early, like maybe to kind of sync that information up. But the gist of the matter is, I don't want the people who have come to really like and enjoy what we do with this podcast to kind of get no explanation or basically get no recourse for what this kind of a content is. So for one, the first thing I want to let you know is you will still get a show. So I do not yet know what the name of this new show will be, but I'll be heading it up like I did with the BBET Gamescast. You'll probably still see some of the people who you have come to know and enjoy, like Blue, like Superman Jeff. To be 100% honest, you probably will not see Gamer. But you'll also see probably some new voices and faces as well. So do look forward to that. I'm going to try to have that up and running again on a weekly basis, just like this show was. And honestly, it'll be in a lot of ways similar to the BBET Gamescast, but maybe a little lighter in terms of content. I know some people really like the longer form podcasts, but with what I kind of want to do going forward, it kind of just makes a little bit more sense to kind of shrink that down to something more manageable, because I'm probably going to attempt to edit it a little more heavily, especially for the video side. The audio side will probably be more or less the same, just maybe a shorter bite-size product. But this isn't just an announcement to say, hey, see you next time the show's ending or whatnot. Very, very big news happened this week, so at the very least, I have to at least go over some of that. So, first off, Microsoft buys ZeniMax Media, owners of Bethesda Softworks, owners of Arcane Studios, owners of id Software, owners of Tango Gameworks. There's a lot of game studios are mixed up in this freaking deal here. So this isn't an acquisition like what we were speculating on earlier, where Microsoft may have been interested in buying the WB. AT&T decided they didn't want to sell it off anymore because it is actually pretty valuable. But the fact that Microsoft has gone forward and purchased ZeniMax for $7.5 billion, mind you, means that a lot of the most popular, most influential games in the industry, period, now belong to Microsoft. And if you guys noticed with Sony's most recent conference, the only card Sony has really been able to play, other than, you know, their enduring popularity and the love of their, you know, fans, like, cause Sony has sold a buttload of consoles. They're the front runner by far. The ball is in their court to be lost, essentially. Like, they're the ones who will mess this up. And they really haven't made too many mistakes so far. They're sticking to what they've done well. Microsoft has decided to kind of just go off on and do their own thing and just bring amazing value to the customer. It's something that Sony can't match. And you can see that because the only thing Sony has going for them is their exclusivity, the quality of their exclusive games. And you saw it. Announcement after announcement at the Sony conference was literally just Sony telling you, hey, this thing is exclusive. This thing is exclusive. Even though this isn't made by us, we're paying to make it exclusive, at least for a limited time. You saw that with Deathloop. You saw that with Ghostwire Tokyo. Two games that are now under the control of Microsoft, because Microsoft bought Arcane, which makes Deathloop, and Tango Gameworks, which makes Ghostwire Tokyo, because they're both under that umbrella of ZeniMax Media. So this is a kind of a very unprecedented situation. It's not the same thing as the Minecraft deal, where it was a game franchise that existed on a bunch of platforms. Microsoft bought the parent company and then decided, you know what, we'll leave it everywhere because it makes the most sense. Like, they make the most money that way. They don't want to rub anyone's feathers the wrong way by making it exclusive to Xbox, which would have done well for their brand, because there are millions and millions and millions of Minecraft fans who would probably just, get Xboxes or Xbox equipment to play it there. Microsoft decided to be the good guy. So good on Phil Spencer for sticking to that for the most part. But this scenario is very different. These are two games, Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, that have not come out yet. These are games that Sony has paid to have exclusive rights to for a set amount of time. We don't know what that time period is yet. But now it doesn't matter, because Microsoft has gone behind their back, essentially, and said, well, sure, if you want to play these games, as soon as possible, go ahead, get your PlayStation 5, purchase them for $70 on the PlayStation 5. Because Sony said their first-party games are going to be $7. I don't know yet about the third-party stuff. So they may very well still be $60. But pay the full price for these games, and you can play them for however long they're exclusive Sony's, but we own them. So not only will they eventually come to Xbox, for sure, when they come to Xbox, they will come to Game Pass, which means you don't have to come out of pocket for anything more than what you're already paying. And that's the key here. Like, this acquisition, Microsoft wins no matter what they decide to do. If they say everything that comes out of these studios is now going to be exclusive, that's a win for them. That hurts Sony, and it weakens that argument that Microsoft doesn't have any decent first-party games, because they bought a bunch of studios that make a lot of quality games. Not all of them, but some of them are industry-wide notorious. The Skyrim of the Elder Scrolls series, Starfield, which is a brand new IP coming out of them, is over the horizon. People are very excited about that. It's a Microsoft-owned IP right now. And they hold the cards to say, look, either Sony players don't get access to this stuff, or we don't care. Sony players can definitely pay our salaries by buying this stuff on their console for the full price, $60, $70, whatever that ends up being. But if you buy an Xbox, or rather, not even if you buy an Xbox, if you buy into the Microsoft ecosystem via Game Pass, or Game Pass Ultimate specifically, you can play this stuff at no additional cost. If you have a PC and you get Game Pass Ultimate, which includes the PC stuff, or just the PC version, you get this stuff. If you have an Xbox and you have Game Pass Ultimate, you get this stuff. Easy. Done. The best games of the generation, more than likely. Like, when Elder Scrolls, whatever comes out years and years from now, it's going to make waves. When Starfield drops, it's going to make waves. When a new Doom drops, because that is id Software, now under this umbrella of Microsoft. Microsoft owns Doom. Can you guys think about that for a second? Microsoft now owns Doom. Doom, one of the premier first-person shooters, sometimes credited as birthing the first-person shooter genre, though there are other games that also have that credit. By the way, Machine Games and Wolfenstein is also credited as starting that genre. Microsoft also owns Wolfenstein. So either way you look at it, Microsoft now is synonymous with the first-person shooter genre, like quality. Like, Bungie came out of that deal. I mean, they don't own Bungie anymore, but Bungie made Halo. Halo is a Microsoft product. Like, Microsoft is very much so synonymous with first-person shooters. If you like that kind of game, you're probably going to be an Xbox fan, like, because there's nothing for you really on the PS5. And there's no downplaying how monumental this is, because the only reason people could really say they didn't want to play or they didn't want to buy into the Microsoft ecosystem is because they didn't have any games. They have no games that I want to play. And that may very well still be the case, but a large subsection of that audience cannot say that, because there are fans of Skyrim specifically that are all over the place. There are fans of The Evil Within, which was Tango Gameworks' previous horror like Resident Evil type game. Like the people who made Resident Evil, or the person who made Resident Evil, I believe is who's behind The Evil Within. So that's the kind of pedigree that's now under Microsoft's wing. And they have the freedom to either do nothing, like just let everything stay as it was, add all those titles to Game Pass, which sweetens the value of that service to unprecedented levels. Like, my mouth was on the floor when they said EA Play was coming to Game Pass. Like, all the stuff that EA has in their catalog, which isn't usually day one purchases of brand new games. Like, sometimes, but oftentimes it's just after a while, you'll get what EA has to offer in there. And that's good enough. That was good enough to raise my eyebrows. This deal changes the industry. Microsoft is a complete juggernaut in terms of the games that they will have in their library. Not necessarily right now, this moment, today, even though it is still an amazing value today, but the future. All of Microsoft first-party studios, which now includes ZeniMax Media games, will show up on Game Pass day one. They've said this. I know that there was a rumor flying around about the cost of Game Pass going up. That's not happening. Not yet. Not yet. Like, I saw someone show a screenshot of an email they got. I hate to break it to you, I think that's probably fake. Someone is trying to get something over on you. Nowhere has it been reported on that Microsoft's Game Pass cost is going up. Not that I've seen, and I've searched for it. So I think you're pretty much safe for now. And to be honest, I doubt Microsoft would do such a thing on the cusp of this new generation. Like, they want everything to stay the same. They want people to feel the value, because it's what's going to get them. It's what's going to get them back in the game. And honestly, you're seeing it. The Xbox One X and S sold out immediately upon going live. I could not get one. The PlayStation 5 did the same thing, but that was pretty much expected. People were wondering whether it was going to be a similar scenario with the Xbox. And it did sell out. When the pre-orders went live in Japan, again, the console sold out. Both iterations. The Series X and the Series S. That's never happened before. And you can make the case that the Xbox probably didn't have as much stock in Japan as maybe other regions. And that's fair. But we don't know for sure. Either way, what they did have sold out immediately, within 20 minutes. Never happened before. I think Sony, again, and I've said this before, I think Sony needs to take heed. If the best they can do is the PlayStation Plus collection, which gives you all of their, popular, not even all, but most of their popular PlayStation 4 games in one big collection that you can download, similar to Game Pass. But none of the third-party stuff, and definitely, because they've said it already, definitely none of the first-party stuff dropping day one in that collection, where you feel like, I just pay Sony a monthly fee and I just have access to all that is Sony. You don't get that. Sony is gonna be charging you more. $70 per game for those flagship titles. The next God of War, the next Horizon Zero Dawn, the next Spider-Man, the next whatever that you love from Sony is gonna cost you $70 every time. You can't weigh those two things. Yes, the quality for Sony's titles are there. Microsoft still has yet to prove themselves with some of these newer studios, especially the Initiative, which is their supposed quadruple A studio. 4 A's, count them. We haven't seen anything from them yet, but there's a ton of talent there. There's a ton of money going into that studio. I can't wait to see what that is, because if that starts hitting people the way Sony's first-party stuff does, then that's the end of the story. Microsoft will not only have the prestige of the first-party titles again, and hopefully Halo Infinite lives up to what it needs to do. They took time to hopefully do that. But right now, it's a wild card. We don't know. But if Microsoft can ever get some of their games to the level that Sony has in terms of that prestige, while having this massive library and this value proposition that is Game Pass, what reason is there to keep your PlayStation 5? We know what I mean, not. I really don't want to say it because Sony does make quality games. Like I would have a PlayStation 5 to play what Sony plays, but like the value proposition isn't there. I'm kind of in this boat because this is the industry that I want to be in. So I'm gonna burn money trying to stay up to date with what Sony's doing. And if Sony does start the trend of moving, maybe some of their first party stuff to PC because maybe they don't make enough money on returns from just having, this one platform that they sell their games on, which Microsoft has the option to not do. Microsoft can take games that have been on other platforms from Bethesda, from these other studios that they just bought, and say, you know what, fine, put it on Sony's platform. We'll take that money. We paid $7.5 billion. We want to be recouped somehow. And then the deal is that you just get it for free in Game Pass, whereas Sony people have to pay for it. Like, that matters. Like, they can brag all they want about, oh, this is a Microsoft thing, but I get to play it, ha ha ha. Well, you're paying Microsoft for it. The money is kind of the end goal. That's what sustains them. That's what allows them to continue doing what they're doing. If Sony can't make back the money it spends on these first-party titles because they limit it to just their platform, eventually Sony's going to have to shutter their games division. And they're very successful. Like, that's not something that's going to happen now, anytime soon. But I do think their push to moving it to PC is part of that. It's part of why that's happening, is because maybe they're not recouping enough money. Like, they're getting the fame, the glory, the adoration, but it's not enough to keep them afloat, not by itself. And they're spending a ton of money to get these exclusivity deals to keep people in that ecosystem, but it's not enough. I honestly, it's not enough. Not for me, at least. But you guys tell me what you think. If you do have more questions or whatnot about what we're going to be doing going forward, follow my Twitter, SigmaGears9. And you'll probably hear about where you can follow the other members of, not the BBET, it's going to have a different name. But you'll see all that information. You follow my Twitter, you follow Blue's Twitter, follow Jeff's Twitter. There's going to be more from me. I wanted to address this particular situation. I know it was kind of a long rant. This is why I usually want other people here with me, because then I'll just keep going and going and going. But I do, once again, want to just thank everybody who listens to the GamesCast, who watches the GamesCast. There's going to be more coming, okay? So don't be too sad that this is coming to an end. It's evolving into something else. So you'll hear from me, you'll hear from Blue, you'll hear from Jeff, you'll still see our weekly streams. Just a couple of things are going to change, so just make sure you follow us to learn, what's happening there. The best place you guys can be, honestly, is still the Discord. Join the BBET Discord. You can find the links on the YouTube for BBET Gaming, but once again, that's going to change. So follow my Twitter to get all that information. That's going to do it for this final episode of the GamesCast. Peace.
Picture me riding and rolling with models. Brand new Ferraris, like we was winning the lotto. And that's not no squatters with me. Pouring the bottle, playing that ONG music that's gonna blow like Chicago. Carry